Money gets you power, and power births the ability to influence others. But none of these can be easily attained, except you're born into a wealthy family. Wealthy families around the world spend a lot of what they own to have or stay in power, which is why the wealthy ones are the powerful ones who are capable of making a change in the system. Come with us as we look into 14 most powerful families in the world. Number 14. The Rothschild Family. If you think the political affairs of Europe are solely controlled by the political leaders, then you don't know how powerful the Rothschild family is. This family is one of the most powerful families in the world, and their power does not come from their looks or physical strength, but from their wealth. Just how much do you need to buy this type of power? Let's look into the wealth and worth of this powerful family. The Rothschild family is an influential banking dynasty from Frankfurt. It is one of the most famous financial houses you'll ever come across. This powerful position has been held since the empire was established by Meyer Amschel Rothschild in the 18th century. However, this empire has grown to prominence under Meyer's 5 sons, Nathan Meyer, James Meyer, Salomon Meyer, Karl Meyer, and Amschel Meyer. You see, Meyer Amschel believed that a business can thrive for a very long time if you keep it in the family, and guess what? He was right after all. The Rothschilds made lucrative investments and developed a solid reputation in financial management throughout Europe. They became pioneers in the development of international finance, with branches in London, Paris, Vienna, and Naples, in addition to their native Frankfurt. They started from a small business engaged in trading goods and foreign exchange, and grew the business activities to include merchant banking, private banking, asset management, insurance, venture capital, and so on. Other business interests include the media, transportation, hotel, and wine. In addition, they have invested in major infrastructure projects such as bridges, tunnels, and railways. It's almost as if there's a Rothschild mark everywhere you turn. And in case you're still wondering how they have been able to exert great influence on the economic and political history of Europe, let's just say their years of work and consistency are all the introductions they need to open doors. Number 13. The Alwaleed Family. We all know how rich the Arabian families are, but you see, this family holds the key to the ultimate power of Saudi Arabia. The Al Saud, or just say the House of Saud, is the ruling family of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, one of the few remaining absolute monarchies in the world. Because of this, the Saudi royal family is extensively wealthy and powerful, dominating the politics and economy of Saudi Arabia. This family is known for its great wealth and extravagant lifestyle. They have a net worth of more than $1.4 trillion, a worth that surpasses even the British royal family. This great fortune comes from oil revenues as well as investments in various industries. This massive wealth has been anchored in oil revenues since its discovery in the 1930s, and the liquid gold has been what has sponsored the extravagant lifestyles of the royal family. This oil revenue didn't just find opulence, but also government initiatives. However, they are not just about the oil, they have diversified over the years. They have invested in real estate, technology, and finance, with the Kingdom Holding Company standing out. In its portfolio are names that include News Corporation, Citigroup, and even Twitter. Also, contributing to the family's influence are luxury hotels and major infrastructure projects. See, if you were born into this family, you sure have the keys to everything you will ever need. Number 12. The Windsors. When you're asked about powerful families in the world, one of the families that most likely pops up in your mind is the British royal family, the Windsors. Undoubtedly, this family is rich, famous, and powerful, but to get the full picture of their finances is a hard nut to crack. Being one of the oldest monarchies in the world, the Windsors have control over the great nation. The wealth of the royal family, which is also known as the firm, is estimated at $28 billion. And trust me, this is separate from Queen Elizabeth's fortune and assets. Queen Elizabeth II, the British monarchy's longest reigning ruler, had a personal fortune of $500 million, which is made up of her vast jewelry and art collection, property, and other personal investments. Now, all of her assets have been inherited by King Charles, the new ruler of the British monarchy. Presently, King Charles's inheritance has reportedly made his wealth total over $2 billion, which includes assets ranging from estates and artwork to jewels, racehorses, stamps, and cars. No one in the Windsor family isn't rich. This family is wealthy and can control almost everything. Even King Charles' eldest son, Prince William, now has the Duchy of Cornwall, which is a large, lucrative estate in his possession, along with $1.2 billion in net assets that include the Oval Cricket Ground in London, Charles's former residence at Highgrove House, and the Isles of Scilly. With many big sources of wealth, one of the biggest is property holdings, and the collective properties are managed by the Crown Estate, which is a corporation that manages the holdings of the monarchy through an independent council. Crown Estate alone is valued at about $20.5 billion and generated an estimated $410 million in net revenue by the end of fiscal year 2022. Don't think the whole of the Crown Estate's revenue belongs to the Windsors. The revenue goes to the British government in exchange for a sovereign grant from British taxpayers. The grant, which is equivalent to 25% of the Crown Estate's profits, totals about $110 million for the year 2022 to 2023. We could go on, but let's stop here. There are still more powerful families you need to meet. Number 11, the Rockefellers. Next is the family whose name is synonymous with immense wealth. This family's fortune was established by John D. Rockefeller Sr., the founder of the Standard Oil Company in the late 19th century. He was able to build a fortune that endured for many generations, making the Rockefellers one of the wealthiest families in history. Judging by the introduction, you must think the Rockefellers have always been rich, but that's not true. You see, John Rockefeller was born to a family of modest means, but had a dream to become great, and so he managed to save money and embark on several enterprises as an adult. John managed to pass the vast knowledge of wealth building down his family line, and today, the family is valued at $8.4 billion. This family also recognized the importance of diversification in wealth preservation, which has helped them sustain their wealth for years. Although the initial fortune was built on oil, the family expanded their investments into various sectors over the years. They have stakes in real estate, industry, and even venture capital, ensuring consistent growth and safeguarding of their wealth against market volatility. When Jerry Sperry of Tishman Speyer purchased the Rockefeller Center alone, he paid a whopping $1.8 billion. Over time, the family has consumed and purchased companies such as General Mills, Kellogg, Nestle, Bristol-Myers Squibb, and Procter & Gamble, to name only a few. With the structure this family has in place, they will probably stay powerful forever. Number 10, the Waltons. War is not fought with physical strength and noise. It is fought with weapons that are sometimes too expensive for a nation. And when a war is declared, a nation needs all the help they can get to win it. Back when the U.S. declared war on Spain on the independence of Cuba, they needed help, and the best family to turn to was the Walton family. Imagine a whole nation's survival at the mercy of a single family. Think power, think the Waltons. The family lent hundreds of millions to the government and earned huge interest after. Secretly, they also donate billions of dollars yearly to influence elections across the globe. For example, Joe Biden's campaign finance has received about $200 million from the family to date. This family is crazily wealthy. The combined wealth of the Walmart heirs is roughly $234 billion. Although not every family member works in the family business, everyone in the family is super rich. The original man behind the company is Sam Walton, who encompasses both Walmart and Sam's Club. Before his death, he made sure he divided the ownership of the company to set his family up for financial success. While he wasn't a man of extravagant lifestyle, his children slightly show off wealth with a more lavish lifestyle now. Well, what do you expect? The Walmart store is a store almost all of us patronize, and each of Sam's children held 20% of Walton Enterprises, while Sam and his wife Helen each held 10%. This is to ensure they will have to pay little to no tax even after his death. Such a brilliant idea! Number 9. The Murdochs! You must know the media holds so much power anywhere. And what about the one in control of the media? That's the powerhouse itself. The powerful Murdoch family is often linked to conservative politics, particularly through its control of Fox News. And with the way they have used the wealth they possess, their family has become more powerful in Washington. Now that the media mogul Rupert Murdoch is set to retire at the end of November 2023, he will be handing the reins of his $17 billion news empire over to his eldest son, Lachlan Murdoch. Currently, Lachlan is the CEO of Fox Corp, one of the world's biggest media conglomerates worth $14 billion. His assets include Fox Entertainment and Fox Sports Networks, among others. After Rupert Murdoch's retirement, Lachlan will assume the chairmanship of News Corp, the sister company of Fox Corp, which has a market cap of $11.41 billion. Under its umbrella are Dow Jones and Amp Company, which publishes the Wall Street Journal, HarperCollins book publishers, and dozens of TV stations and newspapers around the globe, including the New York Post and the Times of London. You can tell the Murdoch family is very powerful with the kind of control they have over several media companies, and that also means more money for the family. Forbes estimates Rupert Murdoch's fortune to be around $17 billion, making him the 99th richest billionaire in the world this year. Oh, I forgot to mention their 21st Century Fox stake, which was sold to Disney for $72 billion. That made the Murdoch family $8 billion richer. Included in the sale were Hulu, the FX and National Geographic cable TV channels, and 20th Century Fox film and TV studios. Number 8. The DuPonts. This list will be incomplete without the DuPont family. The DuPont family is one of the most affluent and prominent American families. Since 1802, they have been known for their success in the chemical industry and have become one of the wealthiest families in the country. This family's name cannot be erased from the history of the United States, as the DuPonts are involved in explosives and chemicals used by the government. There are two branches of the DuPont family, stemming from the two sons of Pierre Samuel Dupont de Nemours. Victor Marie Dupont was the older son of Pierre Samuel. He managed the family's woolen mills and later served as a director for the Bank of the United States. His son, Samuel Francis Dupont, was a naval officer who served in the Mexican War and the Civil War. But even with the position and powers of other members of the family, Pierre Samuel's younger son, Eleuthère Irénée Dupont, was responsible for building the family fortune. In 1802, he took over the gunpowder plant started by his father, naming it A.I. Dupont de Nemours and Company, which was later shortened to DuPont. He also built woolen mills. The company was a major supplier of gunpowder to the United States government during the War of 1812, and then again during the Civil War. Also, in the early 1920s, the DuPont Company invested heavily in General Motors Company, which made such American cars as Chevrolet and Buick. We can agree that the DuPonts have successfully carved their names into the shiny stars of the United States, and the type of power they possess cannot be overemphasized. Number 7. The Morgan. This is one of the names that can't be forgotten in the history of the United States. The Morgans have contributed greatly to the economy of the state through a single member of the family, J.P. Morgan or John Pierpont Morgan. He was one of the world's wealthiest and most successful businessmen. His bank, J.P. Morgan Chase, remains the #1 financial services company in the United States. Although Morgan died at 1913, he left behind a powerful legacy, including his international banking firm, a vast art collection, and worldwide renown as the man who twice bailed out the U.S. Treasury in the late 1800s. But how exactly did a single man achieve all of these? J.P. Morgan made a name for himself by founding private banks and reorganizing businesses to make them more stable and profitable. He also financed industrial consolidations that led to the creation of General Electric, International Harvester, and U.S. Steel. He is remembered by historians as one of American capitalism's most influential people. At a critical time in the country, he essentially ran the economy, hoisting it up and keeping it from collapse. He also has a prominent place in history due to his art donations to New York City's Metropolitan Museum of Art and his book collection in the Morgan Library and Museum. Morgan helped uphold the economy not once but twice. In 1895, J.P. Morgan and Company offered a bond that rescued the country from a 2-year depression stemming from the post-war railroad boom and subsequent bank failures. With gold reserves dwindling, Morgan's firm formed a syndicate to purchase gold and protect the treasury from withdrawals. Again, in 1907, Morgan came alongside the federal government to provide relief during a Wall Street crisis. Because there was no central bank, Morgan worked with other financiers to bail out failing financial institutions to stabilize the markets. After his death, Morgan's net worth was estimated to have been about $80 million, which is equivalent to $2.3 billion today. There's even speculation that at the peak of his career, his fortune might have been worth as much as $60 billion today. If only we could take lessons from the dead. Number 6. The Bush Family. We all know about this family, and certainly everyone knows about how powerful it is. But to what extent do you think the Bush family is powerful? This family has a combined net worth of $400 million. The Bush family is one of the most prominent political families in American history, with several members playing a major role in the politics of the country as governors, senators, and even the President of the United States. The family's influence in American politics can be traced back to Prescott Bush, a successful businessman and U.S. Senator from Connecticut. Talk about one of the most successful political dynasties in American history. The Bushes are at the forefront. Over different generations, the Bushes have amassed enormous fortunes and political power beyond belief. With a combined worth of about $400 million and 2 members rule in the Oval, you can understand what we mean by the enormous political power possessed by this family. Samuel Prescott Bush was the one who laid the foundation for the family's fortune. Known as the Grand Patriarch of the Bush clan, he was an Ohio steel and railroad executive. Firstly, he worked his way up from an apprenticeship to become president of Buckeye Steel Castings Company, the country's 3rd largest producer of steel couplers at the turn of the century. He then rubbed elbows with the Rockefellers and co-founded the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. This paved the way for the rest of the family, who are just as ambitious as Samuel, and today, they hold the power that can only be dreamed. Now to our subscribers pick. We have had a single family ruling a nation for centuries, and we can't tell even if this reign is ever going to end. The wellness and survival of this nation solely depend on the decision of the ruling family. Now, imagine if the whole world is in the hands of a family. This is the practical explanation for this image. This family secretly rules the world. It has been speculated that our political leaders do not rule over us, but rather a family secretly orchestrating the way the whole system works. No one knows their identity, and no one knows their plans. They may decide to hold the world together, and they may also decide to shatter the whole world into pieces. What is the true intention of this family for us? Are we even safe? If this is true, what do you think would become of the world in years to come? Number 5. The Pritzker. This is another family recognized by Forbes as one of the wealthiest families in the United States. Meet the Pritzker family. The family whose fortune arose in the 20th century, particularly through the founding and expansion of the Hyatt Hotel Corporation. Their holdings also include the Superior Bank of Chicago, which collapsed 2001, the TransUnion Credit Bureau, Braniff Airlines, McCall's Magazine, and the Royal Caribbean Cruise Line. The family's fortune all started with 2 brothers, J. Pritzker and Thomas Pritzker. In 1995, J. Pritzker, the co-founder of Hyatt, stepped down, and Thomas Pritzker took control of the Pritzker organization. After the death of J. Pritzker in 1999, the family split the business into 11 pieces worth $1.4 billion each and chose to settle a lawsuit from 2 family members, who apparently received $500 million each in 2005. By 2011, the dissolution had been completed, and everyone had gone their separate ways. But still, many Pritzkers are known for doing great, especially for their philanthropic giving and control of immense power. Number 4. The Koch. If you have ever heard the name Charles Koch or David Koch, it's probably for using their vast wealth to affect political activities. Don't blame them. they have more than enough to spare for such. They're the face of both Koch Industries and Wall Street-era activists. Their name is associated with the toxicity and greed of capitalism by younger generations, but what most don't know is how exactly they got this much power. These brothers formed the Koch Pack, which funded the Tea Party movement, a right-wing populist movement prominent in the late 2000 and early 2010. But before it all got to them, the hero was their father, Fred Koch, who founded Koch Industries in 1940 and worked for a variety of oil companies before partnering with an MIT classmate in Wichita, Kansas, to start their own oil-focused engineering company. Koch Industries itself was originally an oil company, but it used its excessive cash flows to acquire a lot of companies, especially in the 2000s. The company bought Georgia Pacific Infor, Guardian Industries, Flint Hills Resources LP, Invista, Koch Minerals, Matador Cattle Company, Molex, and more. Through its subsidiaries, Koch produces oil, resins, polymers, glass, robotics, biofuels, paper, and toilet paper. Koch also holds plenty of oil, chemical, and energy assets, including fertilizer. This is how it grew to over $100 billion in valuation. Charles alone was worth an estimated $44.9 billion as of November 2020. It is speculated that the IPO of Koch was blocked due to a decision probably made by Charles Koch. But with his age that shows he's approaching the end of his life, the Koch family may just decide to go public after Charles is no more. Whatever happens, the Koch family will remain wealthy and stay in power as ever. Number 3. The Mars. Does Mars remind you of that cheap American chocolate? Right, we're talking about the Mars candy bar. But this family is far more than a candy bar. Though they own the brand and also M&Ms, that's not all this multi-generational family-owned company makes. But you really can't know all about the Mars family. The family is notoriously private, despite having a combined net worth of around $100 billion. Mars Incorporated was founded in June 1911 in Tacoma, Washington by Frank C. Mars, an experienced candy salesman. At the time, Wrigley already existed in Chicago, Illinois, as a popular confectionery company making chewing gums like Juicy Fruit. But in 2008, Mars acquired Wrigley in a $23 billion deal. And that's just one of many businesses it acquired in over a century in business. See, if you're a lover of some popular candy brands, you should be thankful to this family as they own a wide portfolio of brands like Snickers, Twix, Skittles, Dove, Orbit, Altoids, Uncle Ben's, and even Whiskas. With net sales clocking in at $20 billion in 2020, Mars Wrigley is the world's leading candy company. The candy industry is worth over $200 billion, so it's no wonder the Mars family is so rich for dominating it consistently over the generations. The craziest part? It is expected to grow to about $290 billion by 2028. Number 2. The Soros. You may not have heard of the Soros, but they are one of the most powerful families in the world. George Soros is a legendary hedge fund manager who is widely considered one of the most successful investors of all time. Soros managed the Quantum Fund, a fund that achieved an average annual return of 30% from 1970 to 2000. He remains the chair of Soros Fund Management, LLC. He founded his first hedge fund, Double Eagle, in 1969, and with profits from this fund, he started Soros Fund Management in 1973. He is known for his vast philanthropic activities and has donated billions of dollars to various causes through the Open Society Foundations. He is believed to be worth more than $8 billion as of May 2022 and has donated more than $30 billion to charitable causes. If there's anything Soros donates his money to, it is the Democratic Party in the US back in 2021. He donated $140 million to politically charged advocacy organizations and ballot initiatives. This has given him much power in the political system of the state. And so far, he doesn't stop giving. His family still remains powerful. Number 1. The Baruchs. Bernard Baruch of the Baruch family was an American financier and foreign policy advisor to Presidents Wilson, Roosevelt, and Truman. Amazing, right? But his thrilling journey didn't start the way you would have thought. His journey into the world of finance started at A.A. Houseman and Amp Company. Swiftly, he rose to a partnership role with his sharp business instincts, leading him to snap up a coveted seat on the New York Stock Exchange. Baroo made his money as a speculator, often by selling short. Shrewdly and boldly playing the markets in copper, railroads, and sugar, sometimes with the help of insider tips, Baroo accumulated a $15 million fortune by the outbreak of World War I. But he wasn't just any speculator, he was a master at what he did. With his amazing ability to spot trends, he transformed this sweet commodity into a gold mine. That's not all. He also held a partnership in the Intercontinental Rubber Company. After attaining this success as an investor, Baroo left Wall Street in 1916 to advise President Woodrow Wilson on issues of foreign policy and national defense. He became friends with President Franklin Roosevelt, who also tapped him as an advisor during the Second World War, and his reputation would make him an advisor to Truman as well. With his influence, the Baroo family forever holds the key to political power in the state, thereby standing tall among many families. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.